This is the Culture FC podcast with me, David Farini, and Destination Culture senior writer Emmett Gates in the studio today. Pitchside presenter Adriano Del Monte joins us. We're going to deep dive into Serie B side Spezia. Adriano, you were there on the weekend to see them take on Catanzaro. Potential promotion to Serie A. They're going okay, and they've got a new owner in town.
They do, and obviously the game didn't go too well. They had... You don't blame absences, but they did have a few players missing through illness, a couple of players playing through illness as well. But look, a team, it was my first time to Spezia. It was actually my first ever Serie B match pitch side in my life. Ooh. So that was a cool box to tick as well. But look, in any case, the result didn't go their way, but it was a special day for the club because it was the first home match for the club under their new ownership. An Australian company, FC32, that have come in, have bought the club off its previous owners and have very big plans for this club. The club are currently one of, I believe, 6 at the moment, clubs that the company own across Europe. But this club is the top of the pile and definitely the most significant in their ownership portfolio at this point. So a really exciting project that's just getting underway. And what I loved about this club, the fan base, so passionate. The result didn't go their way, but definitely didn't take away from the occasion. The mutual respect shown between the new owners and the fans, and yeah, I'm sure I'll be back there. Well, I will be back there very soon. But
I'll be taking on Pisa soon, and you'll be back there.
I was about to comment.
I wore this on purpose, wanted to provoke you into that.
I was about to comment.
So, look, what a stadium it is. We've been to the Alberto Pico earlier this season. They took on Bari. Look, Catanzaro will do that to you. They played Catanzaro. Catanzaro got the win. They're now in the top 4, just one place under Spezia on the table, on the Serie B standings. Of course, Sassuolo look like they're already promoted, got already a foot into next Serie A season. Then it's Pisa. The big one's coming up in a couple. Well, there's one that we're broadcasting this week, which is Sassuolo-Pisa on Saturday. Then the next week, Pisa have to go to Spezia. So that is a couple of massive weeks for Pippo Inzaghi. He's going to be taking on Fabio Grosso this weekend, and then he's going to be up against Luca D'Angelo, former Pisa coach, now in charge of Spezia. So, look, what are those big plans that the Aussies are going to do? Because we've seen some Australian entrepreneurs also in Sicily. Now we see them up in Liguria.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think they're very keen on... They're very keen on maintaining a strong level of control over the players that they identify as suitable for their business, and their business incorporating all clubs involved. So I think given the fact that they have different clubs in Europe, different clubs that may suit different players, different styles, the value for them is really on the player. And they are creating pathways into many different continents across the planet, particularly Australia, a strong focus. There's a strong belief within the company that Australian, let's just say, sporting talent are underutilized in the football space. And if they really strongly believe if they are to create these pathways to facilitate player development from Australia coming through to Italy, that Spezia can really be the launching pad for these young players to come in and make their mark. And it's it's a really deep and complex project, but a lot of key players involved, some really, really knowledgeable individuals involved, people who have been involved right at the top level in US sports, particularly in the NFL and the NBA. The connection initially was with Italy was the Italian Olympic Committee, because these individuals were given some work there through them as well. So look, it's individuals who are really at the top of their field in global sport, with a strong, keen eye on football and the Australian market, but other markets around the world as well. And look, they've engaged with me to play a part in assisting them with their international media relations and things that they're doing around the world. But it is, from what I've learned so far, a really big project to keep a close eye on, because if they are to get in the top flight, the president, Paul Francis, or vice president, but founder of the company, Paul Francis, mentioned to me their aim isn't to be promoted. Their aim is to be promoted and remain there. So it could be the start of something very, very special to come.
How did you actually get from Milan? Did you take the train?
Yeah, I did. I do a lot of travel and do a lot of holiday time in the Cinque Terre region. So the train from Milan goes through Cinque Terre to Spezia, 3.5 hours or so. Very easy, very relaxed.
Easy viewing on the way down.
Easy viewing.
Yeah, and you went past Rio Maggiore. We've done a piece on that as well. How'd you go down there? Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Look, I always go there every summer. I spend a few weeks there every year in the summertime. It was a different experience going there in the wintertime with no one around. It actually reminded me of the COVID days because I did some weeks there in the summertime and there was no one around then. But this time, no beach, no restaurants open, not much going on. So it was but still, what a beautiful place. What a spot. And that's actually when I tell you the reason that the Australians identified and purchased Spezia, that's why.
It's
they
the
really
gateway.
believe it's a gem given its geographical position in this beautiful country. And I really see a lot of upside and potential there to really engage with all sorts of entities globally. But from a tourism perspective, doesn't get any better for me.
And not many people know about La Spezia as a city. It is. It's one of those uncovered. We uncovered it, and now Adriano is. But it's a gem, and it's one of those cities that has everything there is. The stadium is fairly. It's a good-looking stadium as well from outside, inside.
Fairly modern.
Holds about 20,000 people, or a little bit more. They've redone it. I remember the Alberto Pico had some work done on it when they got promoted from Serie B last time under Vincenzo Italiano. Now they've done the cover over the other stands, and it looks great. And
it's a gorgeous little stadium, and it's an easy walk from the centre of La Spezia.
15 minutes, and you got there with a train. We flew into Pisa. We went up with a car and we stayed there a few days. We went to Carrara after that.
Any advice to the listeners? If you're planning a trip to La Spezia, bring an umbrella.
Oh, yeah.
Because we got rained on. But
do you know how lucky we were? The forecast was rain the whole weekend, and the day of the game, perfect. It rained overnight, perfect. Last night, the Italian women played against Denmark women in Spezia, and there was more rain there than any place on the planet. So very fortunate. So yes, you're right. Bring that umbrella at all times.
Swim through the puddles to get to the ball. But it is a beautiful place. Porto Venere right there. It is the gateway to the Cinque Terre. And players like Francesco Pio Esposito and his brother Salvatore Esposito, they're enjoying it. Same with Gianluca Lapadula's there. So international players. He's now, he had his go with
off at the weekend.
He was sent off, okay. Let's not go there. But, look, a beautiful goal by Pitarello as well into the corner. If you haven't seen it, go and watch those. The highlights are there on DCTV. I'll just give it a plug. But look, the best moments in Spezia, there obviously they were there in Serie A. They had Enzola, Maggiore,
Providel.
Yeah, Providel in goals, and that's where they're aiming to get back. They've got a decent team at the moment, and they're looking like they're in third position.
Yeah.
Next couple of weeks are going to be big. They're going to be watching what Pisa do this weekend against Sassuolo, and then they've got the big one against Pippo. So we'll see how they go. Look, any other advice about Spezia? How long were you there for? A couple of days?
Only a couple of days, And again, it was my first visit to Spezia, despite how many times I've been to Cinque Terre. So I'll keep the tips coming. I will be there for the Pisa match. I'll keep the tips coming. But look, it's just a beautiful little town. It's a beautiful spot. It's a nice place in the country. And you guys are right. You can just walk to the stadium. You can enjoy. There's a lot of things to do in such a small town. So really enjoyed it. But obviously, I think the advice for someone who's never been to that part of Italy before would be enjoy Spezia, but Cinque Terre is on your doorstep. So don't be afraid to spend a day or two just checking out the towns there, because it's just a wonderful part of this country.
Yeah, and if you're not there, you watch it on Destination Culture TV. Get the app now on Android and iOS. Mark was watching the other day. He contacted us on X. He's known as Burner Bean. He said, afternoon watching Culture, Spezia on Destination Culture, and some Serie A and one football. Great day to spend in.
Yeah.
Yeah, the poltrona.
Perfection.
So far. Alan Gaskin tweeted out, couldn't have asked for a better vantage point, but I've still got absolutely no idea how play was, because he's right in the corner. He sent us a photo of him being at the Pisa match the other day. We were broadcasting that on DCTV. So the upcoming games this weekend, as we said, Sassuolo Pisa, massive. Saturday, 1st of March at 4:15 p.m. GMT. We'll be there to cover the Mappe Stadium. We've got someone on site this week. So we'll see first against second. It's two World Cup winners, Grosso against Inzaghi. Oh, those memories as well. Let's not go down that hole. Palermo Brescia on Sunday, 2 p.m. We've got two games broadcasting there. Go to destinationculture.com to read about Culture England's article on Luca Toni's resurgence in his time in Palermo. So that's coming out this week. Bari Sampdoria, Sunday at 4:15 p.m. The David Platt derby.
I was going to say the David Platt derby.
And we've also written an article on that at the beginning of the season on the website. And also our feature writer this week is Stephen Kasiewicz. He's writing a preview on that. Sampdoria fan with a bit of a Bari twist and the return of Sibili from Bari to Samp in the January window. Serie A, of course, Napoli into massive this week. I'd like to thank Adriano Del Monte for coming on, football presenter extraordinaire. He's been everywhere. He's back from Australia in Milan. Thanks so much, Adriano. We're looking forward to hearing from you again soon.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you for having me. Keep up the great work.
That's it from me, David Farini, Emma Gates, and Adriano Del Monte. You can contact us on our personal X accounts or go to the Destination Culture X page at DSTN Culture for everything Italian football culture. Be sure to join us every Thursday on Apple, on Spotify, and YouTube for the next edition of Culture FC. And don't forget, you can watch action as well as highlights, full match replays for Serie B on the DC TV app or tv.destinationculture.com. Stick with us this weekend on our socials. And remember, the destination is sempre calcio.